Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is Wade Neely. We are coming to you from our homes on this lovely, lovely Tuesday afternoon. Excited to get the show over with so I can get out in this, man. But it is Top 5 Tuesday, and we're going to be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports. In our final segment, Wade and I, in keeping with the weather, we are going to be bringing you our top 5 favorite things about spring. We're rushing things a little bit. It's still about a week away officially, but we're claiming spring right now. And if you look out the window, you'll understand why. So, big show. Looking forward to it. Wade, what's up?
Man, it's good to be with you, Mo. Good to be with everybody. And you're right. It may not be spring till next week, but yeah, let's go ahead and get this party started. Going to be the nicest day of the year thus far in terms of weather. Maybe only eclipsed by tomorrow, which might be even a little bit better. So it's fantastic, but we got a great show today. I'm excited to tap in. Ton to break down, ton to preview, ton to get into. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. In the second hour, we will be joined, as we typically are on Tuesdays, except when we're not, by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. He's getting ready to go down to Huntsville for a few days. Hopefully he's down there for a while, actually, because the Conference USA men's and women's basketball tournaments are this week, and we would like to see Middles men and women be the last teams standing, which would keep Chip down there for a pretty good chunk of time, and I don't think he would mind if that were the case. Also be talking about some spring stuff. The baseball team got a big performance over the weekend. We'll check in with Chip on that as well. A lot going on campus, in addition to the girls and boys high school basketball tournaments that are headed that way here over the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, a lot happening in Murfreesboro. Chip's going to help us with a lot of that in the second hour. In the second segment, we will be joined by Titans analyst Mike Herndon as the legal tampering portion of the season has arrived, and the Titans have been, kind of active. Maybe not as active as last year, but they've had a lot going on. Expected to have a lot more going on. And of course, they have the number 1 pick in the draft as of right now. So we will check in with Mike on all of that, see what all of that means as we sit here in mid-March, and take a look at some other activity across the National Football League with him. He will be joining us again in the next segment. We'll also talk some basketball. There is a wild situation going on in Dallas, and it's only tangentially connected to Luka. But I saw this story last night, and Wade, we have to get into it. They may not have enough money to address some roster concerns that they have between now and the end of the season. So we're gonna get into that here later in the show, as well as some Major League Baseball talk. A big pitching injury in the Big Apple. Man, I don't know if the Yankees and the Mets built on Indian burial grounds or what, but they are really fighting it right now. And we ain't even got to the season yet. So we'll touch on some injuries for both the team in the Bronx and the other team up there in New York. And also Major League Baseball and New Era, which I'm boycotting New Era anyway, so this is kind of funny, but they rolled out a cap theme that has not gone over very well. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the second hour. And again, in the final segment of the show, Wade and I will give you our top 5 reasons on Top 5 Tuesday for why we like spring. I'm sure there are more than 5 reasons for each of us, but we'll give you our best 5. So looking forward to all of that. Big show. Going to be fun. Settle in. Stick around for the next couple hours.
Yeah, baby. We are jam-packed for the next couple here on Main Street Sports Today.
Looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and start unpacking some of it with yesterday's results, and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
To the rundown we go, folks. Let's wind it back to last night. Boys basketball action across the mid-state. Sectional scores coming in hot here. Bradley Citral defeats Siegel 66-51. It was Memphis East knocking off Dixon County 64-57. Hillsboro, big win, 51-23. Hume Fogg winning 57-38 versus Lexington. Independence topping Beach 43-36. Jackson County took care of East Nashville 66-55. It was Jackson Southside 59, MLK 55. Liberty Creek picking up a 67-62 win versus Lead Academy. Walker Valley 63, Laverne 61. Loretto all over Harpeth last night in South Lawrence County 71-44. Santa Fe 3-point victory, Mo, 62-59 last night for the Wildcats.
Yeah, they got 45 out of Alden Slaughter. McEwen knocked down a 3 right at the buzzer, and they counted it. But, yeah, Santa Fe had their hands full with the Warriors. We've got coverage of that one at MaidenStreetMurray.com. Be sure and check that out.
Other scores wrapping up last night. Third visit for Richland and Wayne County, and it did not go in the Raiders' favor. Wayne County picks up a 49-43 win. Good win for those Wildcats last night down in Waynesboro. And capping your boys' basketball scores last night, Whitehaven with a tidy 67-39 victory versus Kenwood.
Some high school baseball results from Monday. Christ Presbyterian with a 7-1 win over Bayside Academy of Alabama. Blackman blanked Hendersonville 3-0. Christ Presbyterian also defeated Walker Valley 6-1. Page with a 6-0 win over Centennial in a noon affair. Rossview edges Clarksville Academy 4-3. It was Creekwood 10, Clarksville Northwest nothing. Nashville Christian with an 11-6 win over Clinton. Coffee County edged Stewart's Creek 4-3. Columbia Academy defeated Middle Tennessee Christian 8-0. Culleoka with a 12-2 win over Collinwood. It was Farragut 5, Lebanon 2. Franklin defeats Heritage 5-1. Northside of Alabama 11, Friendship Christian 3. Columbia Central with a big 13-2 win over Marshall County. Independence 12, Nolensville 7. Westmoreland with a 4-1 win over Northview Academy. It was Cookville doubling up Oakland 4-2. Orange Beach of Alabama with a 12-3 win over Gallatin. Rockvale defeated Tullahoma 5-3. Shelbyville doubles up Murfreesboro Central 6-3. White House Heritage edges Spring Hill 3-2. Eagleville with a 6-2 win over Summertown. It was Summit blanking Brentwood 5-0. And Richland with an 8-7 win over Zion Christian. Wade, I think you're on mute.
I was afraid of that. Softball scores from last night. Anderson County picks up an 8-5 win versus Beach, turns right around and defeats Ezell Harding 7-4. Blackman on top of Cascade 7-3. Columbia downing Middle Tennessee Christian 8-4. It was Columbia Academy 2, Forest 1. Oakland picks up a 9-5 victory versus Eagleville. Beach on top of Ezell Harding 9-2. Gallatin all over Grace Christian Franklin 18-3 was your final. Austin High School out of Alabama 7, Gallatin nothing. And speaking of nothings, this was a tough nothing to swallow. Laverne falls to Rockvale 20-0 in that showdown last night. Boys soccer action from your Monday night. Columbia Academy with a 3-1 victory versus Zion Christian Academy, and Siegel falls to Cookville 4-1. In NBA action last night, Mo, where were you? People will talk about this for years to come. Where were you during the Cam Spencer game?
Good Lord.
Known. The rookie giving KD the business. The Grizzlies had to hang on, but they do get the win 120-118, capping your scoreboard from last night.
Baseball action today from the high school ranks. This was an 11:30 start, so it ought to be close to over, if not over. New Hope of Alabama faced Christ Presbyterian Academy in 11:30 start. Also at 11:30, Pope John Paul II and Gallatin were to face off. Noon starts for Nolensville and Independence. Where? Not sure, because we've got it listed at both sites. Hopefully y'all figured out where that game was being played. 4 o'clock, Station Camp goes to Good Pasture. At 4:30, Giles County is at Loretto. Lawrence County goes south of the border, taking on Muscle Shoals of Alabama at 4:30. At 5 o'clock, Rossview is at Siegel. Also, Oneida takes on Westmoreland. Summit is at Brentwood. Hampshire hosts Wayne County. Harpeth goes to McEwen. Again, those are all 5 o'clock starts. At 6, Clarksville Academy is at Dixon County. East Hickman hosts Mount Pleasant. Watertown goes to Jackson County. Laverne is hosting Eagleville. Columbia Academy goes to Middle Tennessee Christian in Murfreesboro. There we go. And Oakland is hosting Hendersonville. At 6:30, Creekwood goes to Columbia Central. Memphis University School plays Ravenwood at 6:30. Battle Creek is at Santa Fe. White House is at Springfield. Beach is at Stewart's Creek. Upperman goes to Blackman. Those were all 6:30 starts. At 7, Rockvale travels to Coffee County, and Ezel Harding hosts St. Michael Catholic out of Alabama. At 7:30, it's Alcoa and Westmoreland. And Centennial and Page will continue their series out in Rutherville today. Not sure what time that game starts, but yesterday started at noon, so you may have already missed it.
Could already be in the bag. Other games on the docket. Summit got underway versus Buckhorn, Alabama, bright and early this morning. 8 a.m. first pitch down in Alabama. 10 a.m. we had start times for USJ versus Gallatin. American Christian Academy, that's out of Alabama, they took on Summit. At noon, Gallatin was meeting Buckhorn. So these teams are all trading games here. At 2 o'clock, you got Arab, Alabama versus Ezel Harding. Also at 4 p.m., Ezel Harding will meet Tuscaloosa County out of Alabama. 5 p.m. start now. Lewis County at Mount Pleasant. Spring Hill will travel to Santa Fe. Waverly is at Creekwood. 5:30 tonight, Murfreesboro Central Magnet will be at Marshall County. Warren County is traveling to Riverdale. Other games at 5:30, Westmoreland at Sevier County and Lawrence County at Tullahoma. 6 p.m. start time for Battle Creek at Laverne. 6:30 first pitch for Siegel at Coffee County and Eagleville at Smyrna. Big slate for the boys soccer schedule tonight. Baylor and Hendersonville will meet at 5 o'clock. Also at 5, Rockvale is at Murfreesboro Central Magnet. 6 p.m. start times tonight for Clarksville at Gallatin, Lawrence County at Loretto. Community is traveling to Middle Tennessee Christian. Final 6 p.m. kickoff will be Columbia Academy at Webb School. 6:30 showdown between Battle Creek, who's at East Hickman. 7 p.m. docket now. It'll be Riverdale at BGA. Green Hill is traveling to Blackman. Shelbyville will be at Columbia tonight. Spring Hill traveling to Warren County. And Stewart's Creek is on the road at Wilson Central. Men's lacrosse action tonight. Cookeville will make the trip to Murfreesboro to take on Oakland. That game gets underway at 6:30. In women's college basketball, the Atlantic Sun tournament rolling along. Lipscomb will travel to Central Arkansas. That game tips off at 6:30. You can see it on ESPN+. And if you stay up late tonight, folks, NHL action to close out our schedule. The Preds will be in San Jose taking on the Sharks. Again, puck drop comes your way at 9:30, and you can watch that game on FanDuel Sports South. Great slate on this Tuesday. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our rundown.
Brought to you as always by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Murfreesboro. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And as Wade just mentioned, to close out the rundown, the Predators out on the West Coast for the first of 3 games tonight, taking on host San Jose. 9:30 puck drop here as the Preds go 1 for a sweep of San Jose and 2 for their 4th straight victory. The Preds have won 3 straight. You know, with everything that has gone on all season, you wouldn't necessarily know that. But yeah, all of a sudden, the Predators on a little bit of a heater.
Preds rolling a little bit, you know, just when they officially kind of throw in the towel, Mo, this is how it goes, right? All these new names, new faces, everybody's like, hey, I want to win some games. So a 3-game win streak, maybe too little too late, but good vibes are always appreciated. So hopefully Nashville can continue that. They're currently 15 points outside of the playoffs. Only got 19 games remaining entering this one tonight. But
so you're saying there's a chance?
They're not mathematically eliminated. Moneypuck.com still got them at 0.0. I'm not sure what calculations they're doing because they got at least 0.1 in there somewhere. But should be fun. And yes, a team that they've kind of taken care of business, not exactly the best franchise at the moment is San Jose, but wins are wins, and Nashville could use some extra momentum here in what has been a up and down season, to say the least.
Not exactly the best franchise are the Sharks, and not exactly defensive struggles in either of those games. They played back in January, and the Preds won 7-5 here, 6-5 out there. So if the Preds can muster up the offense again, obviously they got a shot. So last 3 games, they won at Boston 6-3. They beat the Kraken here at Bridgestone 5-3, and then they defeated the Blackhawks 3-2 in overtime on Saturday. So they seem to be finding the back of the net here pretty consistently over this 3-game win streak. Maybe they can do that one more time tonight.
Yeah, and and this is something this is why I was kind of curious with Ann. The playoffs, for all intents and purposes, are gone, barring just the most unlikely of unlikely. But you got some guys in that locker room that are either playing to keep in that locker room, or you got some guys that are going to potentially find themselves out of a job. So there are some meaningful games in that sense still to play, and this is still a franchise that is trying to rebuild. Whether how long that takes, we're not exactly sure, but you'd like to see, and you'd like your pieces that you think you might have identified as key pieces going forward. You'd like to see a little something out of them, and you might also be able to evaluate some guys who may not be long for Nashville.
Absolutely. So, there's still some things that you can accomplish down this stretch for the Predators, even if you can't get into the postseason. And again, as we talk with Ann, and, there will be some talk about tanking and that kind of thing, but I wouldn't suggest you say that in that room, because they're trying to win every time they go out on the ice, regardless of, how winning might impact the long-term picture for the Predators. So right now they are looking to try to extend this win streak that they're on to 4 games against host San Jose. They follow up Friday at Anaheim, Saturday against the Kings in LA, before coming back home for a Tuesday matchup against St. Louis. So, we'll see. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we continue with Top 5 Tuesday, we'll be joined by Titans analyst Mike Herndon. Stick around. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are pleased to be joined by Titans analyst Mike Herndon as we kind of get into the silly season to some degree of the NFL. This time between, the end of the season and the upcoming draft and free agency opening up and all sorts of conjecture. Some of it actually even turning out to be true. But Mike, thanks for taking some time with us this afternoon.
Absolutely. Happy to join you guys.
Hey, so far, what have you seen the Titans do that has impressed you, maybe?
I think there is something to be said for remaining patient in the free agent process and not going to splash money on kind of the flashy names that are out there. I mean, they did a lot of that last offseason, and we kind of see how that worked out for them. I go back and forth on the Dan Moore signing. Part of it says, God, that's a lot of money for a guy that's really at best an average tackle in the NFL, average starting tackle.
No, stop, because average is an improvement in Nashville, right?
Okay. It's a big improvement.
It's one of those situations where in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So I mean, there's, but yeah, to your point, I see what you're saying. I understand. I just wanted to take another shot at the Titans' offensive line.
Yeah, no, I think they were left in a situation because, I mean, look, we all criticize them, and I was chief among them last year for not doing anything at right tackle, right? And they just let it roll back out there with Nicolas Petit-Frere, and that was a disaster. And they could not do that again. This is not a good draft class for tackles. And so really your option is you got to go get what's available. And unfortunately, this was not a strong free agent class for tackles either. So they paid the best of what was out there. They paid handsomely to make sure they got him. But at the end of the day, if he comes out and he's not a complete disaster and you're able to put together a competent offense that doesn't have the quarterback on its back every 5 plays, maybe that'll be money well spent. But it was a lot. It was sticker shock. I had a lot of sticker shock with the Dan Moore deal, but we'll see how it works out.
The bar is low.
It is. It's super low.
Yeah. I saw something, Mike, on Twitter, and that's probably my first mistake, but here we go. Marcus Mariota?
I'm not totally against it, and believe me,
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If you're going to bring Levis back and now does this mean that you are going to draft a quarterback and you're going to use Marcus in that mentor type situation, or is it Marcus and Levis, or how does that shake out if that is the case?
Yeah, and honestly, if you told me, 2 or 3 years ago that I'd been advocating for Mariota to come back, I would have never believed you. But here we are.
Here we are.
They could do a lot worse than Mariota. Honestly, I'd rather watch Mariota than Mac Jones or any of these other guys that, I mean, just, they're going nowhere. Mariota at least can be somewhat exciting to watch sometimes, and I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback here or kind of find that glory of that 2016 season that he had briefly there again. But I'd rather watch him. Always, he still carries a lot of respect from the fan base. And if you're going to put a bad football product on the field, you might as well get some brownie points for getting a guy that you like out there. But, as far as who, I think he'd be a good mentor for Cam Ward if they choose to go Cam Ward number one, which I am leaning more and more towards. I think that's what I would do if I was them. I've had to be a little bit talked into Cam Ward as a prospect, but the further we get in this process, and I don't know if it's myself trying to get excited about something and talking myself into it, but there are a lot of positives that I like about Cam Ward's game, and there's some analytics and things like that back that up too, that are favorable for him. So I think Mariota would be a good mentor, but even if they're not going to take Cam Ward, I mean, if you had to go through a season with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback and, you let him compete with Will Levis, is it a good situation? No. But there is no other good situation. They're not interested in Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't seem. They're not interested in Russell Wilson, it doesn't seem. So I think it's going to be one of these guys like a Mariota or a Jameis Winston or, a Mac Jones. And if you're going to give me the choice of those, I'm going to take Mariota back.
Mike, I want to ask you, you kind of rattled through the quarterback market there, and it seems like potential trade partners to jump to number one for a quarterback are dwindling. We're seeing, a lot of other teams making moves. Are the Titans, whether they want to or not, are they kind of slowly getting – this is going to sound weird, but are they getting forced to take number one now at this point if their goal was maybe to trade?
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Giants because they seem to be the most desperate of the teams, and they're also in the most attractive trade back spot because you only have to drop to 3. You don't have to give up on getting either Hunter or Carter, who are kind of the consensus other two in that top tier. If Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, which sounds like that's where the momentum is right now, depending on what you believe, what's out there. And then, it's going to be kind of Russell Wilson. Does Russell Wilson go to the Giants then? And then does that change their mind as far as to whether they're going to be desperate to go get Cam Ward? I don't know that would change their mind either way. I think they're going to be pretty motivated to come get Cam Ward. I do think that 2026 first-round pick will go on the table at some point between now and the draft, and it'll be up to the Titans to decide whether they want to take the haul and kind of stockpile ammunition for a later date, or if they want to take the quarterback and kind of go right now. So that'll be a fascinating kind of drama to see play out over the next month.
I'm curious about that. I also want to ask you, you kind of teased this at the very beginning, not seeing maybe necessarily release right now, those splashy free agent signings that we saw last year from Tennessee. We hadn't seen a lot of those until last year. So I'm curious, is that kind of maybe, hey, we tried that strategy last year and it didn't necessarily work out? Or is it more of a function of, hey, we got the number one pick, we don't necessarily need to sign as many high-profile free agents? I'm curious kind of what their strategy maybe is with free agency.
I think they've talked about wanting to be a draft and develop team, which, I mean, to be honest, every NFL
doesn't everybody say that?
Develop team. Yeah, nobody wants to use free agency as the way to build a roster, but I think they do need. They still need to plug some holes. I put out a kind of list of all the positions on the roster right now on Twitter earlier, and kind of listed the guys that I felt like were capable starters in those spots, and I've still got 7 holes as far as in the starting, 11 on each side of the ball that I'm looking at going, I don't know who you're playing there. I mean, yes, Will Levis, technically you could start at quarterback today, but nobody wants to start him at quarterback. Treylon Burks, you could technically start him at wide receiver today, but nobody wants to start Treylon Burks at wide receiver. So I'm not putting those guys in there, but I think they need 2 wide receivers. I think they need a right guard. I think they need a quarterback on offense. Then on defense, they need 2 edge rushers because I don't think Arden Key is a full-time starter. I think if you get him down to where he's a third guy, he's a very good third guy. Mm-hmm. I don't like him as a 2 or a 1. And then I think they need a safety to start next to Monty Hooker. So if you can plug those 7 spots, maybe get a little bit of depth filled in there. And look, 7 spots is a lot to plug, but I think you can try to go get some meat and potatoes kind of guys. Like you're not going to get the steak, that's out there. They've already passed on that wave, and that's fine because that's often where mistakes are made in free agency. But if you can go get some, kind of meat and three guys that are going to make in that, $5 to $10 million range a year and not the $20 million range, you can fill out a decent roster at least get a passable product on the field for this year, and then use the draft to get your superstars. That's where your stars are going to come from anyways.
You can fill up on meat and threes and really enjoy it. Mike Herndon joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking little Titans. Mike, I want to go back to a comment that you made a second ago in reference to last year's free agency signings, because did the Titans miss, or did they just catch some bad breaks?
And, it's a fair question, because I don't even know that they necessarily missed, because a lot of the best players on the team last year were free agent signings. Calvin Ridley and Pollard were two of the best players they had. Even guys like Sebastian Joseph Day, who they just brought back, he was a good signing. I mean, he came in, played a role, was a good player for them. You could say that they certainly missed on Snead because of the injury issues, and he wasn't playing great football before that. Awuzie, again, injuries, was okay when he was playing out there. So they had some hits, they had some misses. I think Quadre Diggs played good football here. I wouldn't be upset at all if they wanted to bring him back, frankly, as that other safety next to Amani Hooker, depending on kind of how they feel about his bill of health. But I guess it's fair. They probably didn't really miss so much on free agency as, they were failed by the spots that they didn't fill, the right tackle spot. Some of those positions that they just kind of punted. Right guard too. I mean, letting Radens kind of just take that spot by default almost. They should have done more, maybe you could say, in free agency, and that was where they let themselves down.
They have re-signed, as you mentioned, Sebastian Joseph Day. They also re-signed cornerback Darrell Baker and Andrew Rupchick on that offensive line. Those are kind of depth moves more than anything, aren't they? Particularly Baker and Rupchick.
For sure, yeah. And I liked Darrell Baker last year. I thought he played good football for them. He played more than what they really probably wanted him to, but I thought they got a lot out of him. And frankly, that position group, if you look at it top to bottom, with Snead, Awuzie, McCreary, Brownlee, and Baker, that's five you can go to the season right now with that five and be happy with that. That's the one position group where I'm like, don't have to touch it. Now, I will say you could probably draft one, because you could always use a young one, especially with Awuzie probably not going to be here beyond this season. I think this season will be his last year here, most likely, partially because I think Brownlee's going to push him out of a job sooner than later. But you could always use a little bit more depth at that spot, but they're in good shape there.
Also re-signed Morgan Cox. I mean, and that's probably about all the time I want to devote to a long snapper, but I guess you got to have one, right?
You got to have one, and they don't have any snap issues. They never have any snap issues, on special teams, which is the one thing that you can kind of rely on out of the Titans special teams the last few years. And then two, I think there's something to this, and it's a theory I'm working on. I haven't fleshed it all the way out, but I think a long snapper may be more critical to kicking accuracy than we give him credit for. Because if you look at that, Nick Folk and what his struggles were, like, he had some down seasons, in at times, earlier in his career. But then he gets with Morgan Cox, a very reliable long snapper, and his accuracy is, it's pinpoint, right? You get the holder, it's that whole machine of the snap to the hold to the kick. And part of the reason I'm a University of Texas grad and fan, Texas's kicker, Bert Auburn, was really good as a junior, and then this past season fell off the map. Well, the biggest change in the deal was their long snapper and their holder changed. Oh. And so I think that the whole operation from long snap to hold to kick is critical, that those guys are all in sync and good working together. So I think that position, it's not just not screwing up. I think you can actually be a benefit to your kicker too.
I look forward to your Excel spreadsheet when you put that all together somehow. There'll be some good data. And 5-time Pro Bowler Morgan Cox. So I'm with you. I know this is not boiling it down, but even at the high school level, some teams can't even attempt a field goal because the snap just doesn't get there. And so you don't even give your kicker a literal chance to kick it. Translate that to the NFL or especially college. Like you said, Auburn was down. And those
they were talking about
issues.
replacing him during the postseason.
Yeah. And he was nails for them the year before. So,
Right.
And the biggest change was just the long snapper and the holder changed, and it fell off the map.
Okay. Mike Herndon analyzes the Titans, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Looking across the league, looking at across the AFC South, we're talking about the quarterback situation here. Apparently, Indianapolis has signed Daniel Jones, and they're throwing open the quarterback competition between he and Anthony Richardson. Has Indianapolis done anything other than admit we screwed up with this pick?
Yeah, I think they're admitting it. They gave a lot of money to Daniel Jones. So if it's for them to pay him, I think it was up to 17 or 18 million, somewhere in there, which, we'll see where the guarantees fall, all that stuff. Typical free agency caveats apply, but that's a lot of money to be able to bring him in. So I think they're at least admitting that they're concerned about Richardson to a pretty heavy degree there, because they had to outbid the Vikings, who apparently were pretty interested in Jones as well.
He finished up the year with them, right?
Hey, yes, he did. Yep.
What do you make of the Eagles and the Browns swapping DTR and Kenny Pickett?
That's an interesting move as well. I've been a big Dorian Thompson-Robinson fan ever since he came out of UCLA. I liked him in the draft as kind of a draft and develop backup type. And so I think he's got some talent. I know he did not play that very well when he did get an opportunity to start in a regular season game.
That might have been more a function of Cleveland than him, though.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, look, they've made a lot of quarterbacks look bad over the years there. So, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I think is much better than Kenny Pickett. I know Kenny Pickett's got the pedigree, but if you're giving me the choice between those two today, I'm gladly taking DTR.
And might it be a situation where he more closely resembles Jalen Hurts as well?
Oh, I definitely think so. Yeah, I think it's helpful to have a little bit of a like-for-like replacement in your quarterback. You can run the same offense. You can run the same. DTR is not the as physically strong as Hurts is. You're not probably going to run the tush push as much with DTR at quarterback. He's a little bit slighter, but he can run. And he gives you some of that QB run game element that Hurts brings to the table. And I think that allows you to be a little bit more stable when you have to go to a backup quarterback, rather than we're throwing out this playbook and here comes the new playbook for the new quarterback. That's a tougher transition on everybody.
Mike, I want to ask you too. We opened the segment talking about the Titans and signing guys on the offensive line. What in the heck is going on down in Houston as they released Shaq Mason earlier this week, and it seems like Tunsil's on the move as well? Break that down for us.
Yeah, Tunsil's on the move, and so is Kenyon Green, their first-round pick from a couple years ago. So they've gotten rid of 3 of their starting offensive linemen, I guess, from the beginning of last season. They clearly were not happy with that group. Tunsil had a bunch of penalties last year, but that's kind of always been a thing with him. False starts, holding, that kind of thing. But he doesn't give up sacks. He does not give up sacks. Great pass protector. But they struggled on that group as a whole. I mean, they struggled to protect Stroud. I think most people kind of view Stroud's year 2 downturn as largely a function of the offensive line falling apart, which is kind of strange because it was mostly the same guys the year before. So I don't know. I had, part of me thinks some of that is the offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, maybe, not adjusting as well in year 2 and people catching up to him a little bit. But they've decided that offensive line was a problem, clearly, because they have ripped that thing out at the root and are starting fresh with that group, which is an interesting choice. Again, I mean, we've talked about the struggles the Titans have had, but the Texans have a lot of starting offensive linemen to fill all of a sudden, and there's not a lot of options out there, as we found out.
That's what kind of struck me is, we Mo and I had talked about the Mason release earlier this or late last week, but maybe one guy, maybe two, but it just feels rare to see this many starters kind of on the move.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that their center was kind of their weak point. You know, at least going into last season, that was the way it was viewed. Juice Scruggs, who I guess he'll be back maybe, but you know, now we're down to him and Titus Howard, I guess, is the only returning starters, which those were I think largely viewed as the two holes in their offensive line previously. So I have no idea what the Texans are doing with that. That is a very strange offseason that they are starting down there, and we'll see where it goes from here. But that's the Tunsil move was a shocker to me.
As you mentioned, strange off seasons, you kind of opened the door for this one, Mike. Who's having the stranger off season, the Houston Texans or the Seattle Seahawks?
Oh wow, yeah, Seattle is like a identity crisis going on up there. Getting rid of Geno to sign Sam Darnold. I get Darnold is a lot younger, and maybe they just think that they can, change that. But then you get rid of DK, you get rid of Tyler Lockett. I mean, it's going to be a whole new team up there too. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I still am high on. I was high on him in the draft a couple years ago when he came out, and still think he has the goods to be a number one wide receiver. But he's going to have to be now because they've got nobody else.
Sure.
And it's going to be a big difference for Sam Darnold going from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and that offensive line to going what they got in Seattle. That is going to be a culture shock for him, I think, going into that kind of system with very few pieces in place. Certainly not of the caliber. He was driving a Maserati last year. Now he's down in Honda Accord. So we'll see how he likes that.
My thought is maybe are they, especially Darnold, who we saw go out in flames at the end of the season, by getting rid of the receivers, are they maybe taking on, run first more? Maybe if you sign a guy like Darnold, if you don't ask him to do too much, he can't really make that many mistakes. It's kind of the way maybe it doesn't make sense really, but that's the only kind of logical thing that I can maybe come up with is maybe they are going to identity crisis and kind of shift into running game more.
Maybe, yeah. They've got a defensive-minded head coach up there, Mike McDonald, who I like a lot. I think he's a very sharp coach, and they had a pretty good season last year too. Is the thing. So I'm not sure why the big push was there for them to suddenly just kind of change directions with that thing, unless it's just like a conflict between McDonald and Geno and DK and there's some sort of, oil and water thing going on up there where just personalities were clashing or something. But it seems pretty shocking to me that they've just turned this other direction. I'm not sure I can fully wrap my mind around that one, to be honest. It's an odd deal.
It's pretty stark, really.
Yeah.
Mike Herndon, who analyzes the Titans, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Mike, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, and keep your phone on. We might be reaching back out between now and the draft just to see if there's any tea leaves to be read or any smoke signals to be read as far as what's going to happen with that number one pick. So we appreciate it.
Happy to do it, guys. Thanks for having me, and sorry for all the long snapper talk.
It's all good. Hey, as we got into it, though, it kind of made sense, and I'm kind of looking forward to whatever you dig up on that, actually. So
that may be an off-season project of mine here. Yeah,
love it. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. Hey, when we continue on Main Street Sports today, it is Top 5 Tuesday. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our 5 favorite things about spring. But when we come back after this break, we'll talk a little hoops. Stick around.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Excuse me. Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're going to talk some basketball. But I want to start in Memphis, and not at FedEx Forum, but on the campus of Southwest Tennessee Community College, where here in about an hour and some change, the Columbia State Chargers will play for a berth in the NJCAA National Tournament out in Hutchinson, Kansas. The Chargers will play 7th seed Pellissippi State in the 4:00 finals of the state tournament over there. C-State in the semis yesterday were up 35-14 on Roane State, wound up having to hang on for a 74-71 overtime victory that I'm sure pleased Winston Neal to no end. But I mean, it's kind of survive and advance at this point, obviously, and they managed to do that. So,
yeah, small college ball. It is, like you said, survive and advance, win at all costs, war of attrition. Those tournaments are all fun, whether it's JUCO, NAI, D2. It feels like every game is really a fight, and that makes those wins so much sweeter.
Absolutely. C-State ranked number 23 in last week's national poll. I don't know if there was a poll this week. They may have shut that down now that they've started postseason play, but Chargers trying to get back to Hutch. Well, trying to get to Hutch, qualify for Hutch, let's say that, for the first time since 2020 when they won the state tournament but didn't get to go because of the pandemic. Before that, I think the last time they went was maybe 2014, 2015, somewhere along through there, with current Tennessee State coach Penny Collins, who took them out there back-to-back seasons. So wishing them luck in that 4:00 start. The 2:00 game for the women's championship was between top seed Walters State and number 3 Chattanooga State. Chat knocked off the Lady Chargers in the semifinals yesterday. Columbia State's women were the number 2 seed going into the tournament. So nice season despite some off-court issues for the Lady Chargers, but they locked down the number 2 seed and advanced to the semifinals before falling. So a lot of good stuff going on inside the Webster Athletic Center this season for Columbia State. And if you missed them, you missed them. But some good stuff. LeBron did not play last night for the Lakers, and I don't know if it showed necessarily, but Brooklyn edged Los Angeles 111-108. That's 22-42 Brooklyn downing 40-23 LA without LBJ. And I think that there are some that would like to think they could have handled the Nets without LeBron, especially if you get 22, 12, and 12 from Luka.
Yeah, you get a triple dub from Luka, and more often than not, you think you're going to win. That's whether LeBron is out there. But I mean, this is also the team right after they got Luka, featuring both of those guys. King James out on the court, they lost to the Jazz. So I mean, they've been on a run, they've been on a tear, but they still have some holes and deficiencies. And the Nets, their record would kind of not necessarily indicate it, but they're scrappy. I'm going to be real fascinated to see because, man, talk about a wild range of emotions, right? They'd been rolling the folks out in Tinseltown there. And then this King James news, I'm not saying it's going to derail the season by any means because I think they're already above perhaps where they could or should be at this moment. But you got to get him restored and healthy. We've seen this, right, Mo? The last couple of years, playoff LeBron or Olympic LeBron, like we saw last summer, that is the thing. He can turn back the clock for a brief time and really give you some supernova performances. So however the regular season ends, you got to make sure he is good to go if you have any kind of real postseason aspirations.
Absolutely. And, muscle strains are always kind of iffy anyway. So muscle strains for 40-year-olds got to be especially iffy, and he's dealing with a groin strain. So you got to be you got to err on the side of caution with that thing for sure. I mean, if they're talking 1 to 2 weeks, then he's probably out 3 just to make sure. So they're going to have some time without him. As a result, or maybe not as a result, but you did a sidebar to that game was you got a couple of former Volunteers in the mix yesterday. Dalton Connect with 19 points on 8 of 18 shooting from the floor, 3 of 9 from behind the arc in the loss for the Lakers. And Keon Johnson getting the start at the 2 spot, 18 points, 6 of 10 from the floor, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So Keon's kind of been up and back, I think, between Brooklyn and their G League team, but they got a nice look at him last night.
Yeah, cool to see a couple Vols taking care of business, and Connect especially. He had kind of faded a little bit and then he showed you kind of some of his best last night. And that was what we saw kind of in those early parts of the season in November. That was the Dalton Connect that we had seen. So they're going to need him. I mean, it's kind of all hands on deck with LeBron being out, because their next few games here, they're at Milwaukee, they're at Denver, they get the Suns and the Spurs, and then Denver again and Milwaukee again. So they have some kind of dicey games coming up, and they built up a little bit of a cushion, probably going to be able to hang on to at least a top 5 seed, probably even top 4 at this rate. But yeah, it was cool to see the Vols out there running and gunning, especially Keon, like you said, who kind of split some time here. Good to see him kind of get a little national shine.
No doubt. Dallas, with only 8 players dressed, defeated San Antonio 133-129, their first win in their last 6 games. And it's interesting because they are dealing with a spate of injuries and no money to sign anybody to add to the roster. Salary cap situation keeps them from signing anybody to even a 10-day deal. So the 8 that they've got are the 8 that they're going to have to roll with here for a minute. They finished Sunday's game against Phoenix they started with 9 available, and 2 of those collided heads while chasing a rebound, and both had to leave the game. So by the end of that game, they were down to no subs. They played the last 6 minutes with 5 guys.
Oof. I mean, that's unthinkable, right? That's unthinkable at the college level. Really, almost kind of, you rarely ever see that at the high school level. But times are grim for the Mavs. And man, as much as that trade got bagged on, there was a window, and there was, for this season at least, there was a window when they get some of their bigs back, with AD playing well, with Kyrie playing well. Not saying they were going to win the West by any means to get back to the finals, but there was a window they could have done some damage, I think, to close the regular season and maybe a series or two in the playoffs. And then things just, after a kind of horrific trade and a widely mocked trade, things just absolutely have disintegrated. They're very lucky. They're clinging to play-in status at the moment. And at this point, if you're a Mavs fan, I don't know if you even want to fiddle with the play-in series at this point.
Yeah, let's just get this thing over with. Here's the thing. They've got an open roster spot, and because of the injuries that they're dealing with, they would meet the criteria for a hardship exemption, but they can't sign anybody because a 10-day contract is at minimum $119,972. The Mavericks are only $51,000 below the first salary cap apron. So they based on salaries, they cannot sign anybody. I don't know how you get here. I mean, this might be as much of an indictment of Nico Harrison as that trade.
I mean, honestly, probably yes. And yeah, you can't forecast, a horrific slew of injuries, but you can forecast your books, and you at least got to have a little something in the kitty to do so. I do love the quote, by the way. He is crying on the inside, but Jason Kidd at least tried to put on a somewhat of a joke when he said he would cost too much, talking about him and his assistant coach, Jared Dudley. So he thought, how cool would that be, though? Hey, I'll take one for the team. Yeah, give me a 10-day contract and I'll just punt my salary to do a solid for you guys. And Dallas is so desperate right now. Sadly, that's the situation we're talking about.
Absolutely. You mentioned the finals a second ago. The Celtics got some good work out of Kristaps Porzingis during the finals, despite an injury that he was dealing with, an ankle that kind of limited him coming into this year. Well, now Porzingis is dealing with a viral illness. He's not played since late February, and they can't figure out what it is. It's only been described as a non-COVID illness. Missed Monday's game. It was a 6th straight game that he has sat out. Again, had that ankle situation back in last year's finals that limited him, but despite his absence, the Seas have won 15 of their last 18 and have closed in on second place, or are the number 2 team in the East. So big matchup tomorrow against Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say they could maybe, if Porzingis is not out there, they might still have the goods to beat the Cavs, even as well as the Cavs have been playing this year. And I think a lot of folks maybe think that. I don't know they have the goods, whether it's Denver, whether it's OKC. If those teams are rolling, man, losing Porzingis would probably make a bigger impact in the finals, I think. So be nice to get him back. They've certainly had some experience in playing without him. And that's a franchise that has done some great things, obviously. So that's going to be such a fun race. You're right. They got a 6-game lead on the Knicks, and we are kind of on that inevitable collision course between Cavs and Celtics. It sure feels like in the Eastern Conference Finals.
No doubt. Hour number 1 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we come back for hour number 2, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, the pride of the dimple, TSSAA 2025 Hall of Fame inductee Chip Walters. Stick around after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilai Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. In our final segment, Wade and I will bring you our top 5 things that we like about spring. Stick around. One of the things that we like about our show is the opportunity to have on a regular basis the pride of the dimple, MTSU play-by-play announcer Chip Walters, and he joins us right now. Chip, are you packed yet?
I'm packed. It's in the suitcase just went in the car, and when we sign off, I'll be heading through Wade Neely's area, down through Ardmore, Tennessee.
Come on,
and take that little cut through there and head over to Huntsville.
How many pairs of shoes are you packing, Chip? Is my first question.
I have two, but both are sneakers, but 2 different colors.
Okay, a little diversity. I'm always fascinated. Some coaches like to rock a brand new outfit every single day of a tournament, and some say, "No, I'm wearing the exact same thing."
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, Kermit Davis was he was quite superstitious from time to time on things that he wore. Coach McDevitt, not so much, but Nick is also quick to tell you, well, I may not be superstitious, but why take a chance?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think I'm more superstitious because I'll remember. Okay, we won a game at UTEP, and I wore my gray shoes and the blue pullover. That and what could it have, the gray pants or the khaki pants on? So. I'm probably worse than some of the players.
You almost need a spreadsheet.
Well, they do for the uniforms. I don't think they do for the coaches' outfits, though. Okay. And now, of course, it's gone to golf pants, polos, and pullovers. So they have, they go from khaki to gray to black pants. They've got a white, a black, and a blue, and maybe a gray pullover, and then an assortment of polos to go with that. But the head manager decides. I don't know if he decides, but he coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
He at least coordinates the head coach's wishes on some of those.
There we go. So, the more I look at the Conference USA tournament bracket, the more I like it, because they are playing first round games today, 2 on each side, the men and the women. They play quarterfinals tomorrow with today's winners playing the number 1 and the number 2 seeds.
Correct.
And then on Thursday, they play another round of quarterfinals.
3 through 6.
But you incentivize the number 1 and the number 2 by giving them an off day before Friday semifinals.
That's correct. That is the incentive to be a top 2 seed. You're correct.
I don't hate that. Yeah. I mean, it's a little wonky looking, but that off day is not to be sneezed at.
No, it's not. And I think it, while I totally understand, and to be honest, I like this bracket better than the Sun Belt bracket, which it's
Sunbelt is fun to look at least, if nothing else, because you don't know what the heck you're looking at.
It looks like the Riverdale High School logo is what it looks like. But there you could possibly have, in the Sun Belt, you could possibly have somebody having to win 7 games in 7 days, whereas the top 2 seeds get buys all the way to the semifinals. And like Troy ended up winning the Sun Belt last night, had to win 2 games. That was it. But it does reward, I'm kind of getting hypocritical of myself because I'm a big fan of rewarding 3 months over 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I've wondered in leagues that are considered one bid leagues, are you doing yourself any favors by having a tournament? Are you don't you want the team that has been there the most? And I get it. Every other coach wants that opportunity to go in there, get their team right for 3 days and win the thing and grab a bid. And, but I could make the case either way. And I understand that, but I think you're right that the more you look at how Conference USA set it up, it's a, you have your, what some people like to call a play-in game. I don't call it that at all, because you earned yourself a spot in the tournament. You're playing to get into the quarterfinals. That's what you're doing, but it's still a first round game, and those who have earned the right to move ahead, they have done that, and they'll get their reward on Thursday when they get a day off if they can win tomorrow.
Right.
Because here's the other thing in tournament play. Do you like playing? You like playing a team that has a win under their belt within a fairly short amount of time, a team that's got momentum, especially in a league that is as balanced as this one has been this year. That's all. I think when coaches weigh it out, they would rather have the rest than and take their chances with a team that's got momentum.
Not just momentum, but momentum in that venue,
correct,
that you've not played in.
And by the way, nor practiced, because of games starting at 11 o'clock every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shoot arounds, no practice on the game floor.
And I'm sure that a lot of the creativity with these brackets is owed to the fact that you are playing both the men's and the women's tournament at the same place at the same time.
That's true. I think that's right, because you have a certain window of time and you work. Okay, we've got championship game windows on Saturday the 15th. Now let's work ourselves back from that, and where do we want to start, and how far do we want to put this out? But the way Conference USA has done it, there's 4 games every day, 2 in the afternoon session, 2 in the evening session. Now the women play in the afternoon today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Then Friday it flips. The men's semifinals are in the afternoon session, and the women's semifinals are Friday night. So whoever wins the Thursday night games will have to play again in less than 24 hours.
Yeah. let's attack the men's side of things first, Chip, because I don't know if there is a worse opponent Middle could have drawn than Louisiana Tech tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, Louisiana Tech and Liberty are the only two teams that swept Middle this year in conference play. The Blue Raiders either split or swept everybody else in the league. And, and it's not, it's funny. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's been just this year. It seems like that Louisiana Tech has been the program that has been the thorn in Middle side since they were together either in the Sun Belt or in Conference USA. But last year, Middle won 2 out of 3 from Tech, including a conference tournament game that put Middle into the semifinals. They've the old adage about beating a team 3 times. It's whatever you believe in, whether you believe or don't believe in that. We'll find out on Thursday night because Middle will face them for a third time, and it's a for the league, it's a great showcase for two great post players who are totally different in styles, but very effective in their own ways. You've got and there's a little rub between these two teams from the 2 previous games that did not necessarily happen on the game floor during game time, but there's been a little gamesmanship between the two already this year. So this one will have some juice to it on Thursday night.
Chip, are you trying to tell me that there's no love lost between the Blue Raiders and the Bulldogs?
Well, I would say that'd be a pretty good guess.
Okay,
that's what I'm picking up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you picking up what I'm laying down?
Exactly. Yes. You talked about those post players. One of them was recently named the newcomer of the year in Conference USA.
Esam Mustafa, unfortunately, in a losing effort to Liberty last Thursday, 30 points, 20 rebounds. And again, take into account that he is going through Ramadan right now and does not eat or drink anything from sunrise to sundown.
Now, when you say he is going through Ramadan, because they mentioned that, I heard him mention that during the FIU game. How long is that?
30 days, and it started the Saturday we were at
UTEP?
UTEP. So there's a little over 2 weeks remaining.
Oh,
and you think about in that first day that he comes out, he has 16 and 14. Then bounces back with his 51st double against Liberty with 30 and 20. It's only the third 30-20 game in Conference USA history. In Murphy Center, it's the best statistical line or performance since 1975, and the second best all time by a Middle player. Mike Milholland, Todd's dad, had 44 and 31 in the same game in 1965 against Austin Peay.
Okay, and then Tim Cisneros had the other one, right?
Yes, Tim Cisneros, the Kokomo Cruncher.
Ooh,
played for Jimmy Earl, and that came against Austin Peay.
I like it. The Kokomo Cruncher. Mustafa averaging 15.5 points, 9.8 rebounds during Conference USA play. So he just missed average in a double-double, but 13 on the year. And he's had 4 games, with at least 14 points and 16 boards. So, again, he's your newcomer of the year and was All Conference USA first team. Justin Porter was named second team.
Yep.
And
Cam Weston, honorable mention.
And Torrey Alston, all freshman.
Yes.
So a nice little haul there for the number 3 seed Blue Raiders, who will again open tournament play Thursday against La Tech. On the women's side, we also had some awards presented, one of which I was thoroughly shocked to see. Pleased, but shocked.
I would say that would probably be Coach of the Year.
That would be Coach of the Year. Yes. Because I mean, you felt like Rick should have won that award last year and didn't, despite all of the success that they had. This year they tie for the conference championship, and maybe somebody's conscience got
caught
to
up
him or
with him.
something. Yeah, but he is your Coach of the Year on the women's side. New Mexico State's Molly Kaiser was your Player of the Year, not Tamia Scott, not Anastasia Boldareva, but Molly Kaiser, who scored 7 against Middle in her last matchup.
That's correct.
So,
but Anastasia was Defensive Player of the Year, and who with the nation's leader in block shots and on one of the best scoring defensive units in the entire country.
And Boldareva and Scott were both first teamers, and we kind of knocked this possibility around a little bit. I don't know that we'll ever know, but you have to wonder if those two teammates kind of split the vote and Kaiser kind of slid in there as a result.
Yeah, well, we talked about that possibility before the votes ever came out, that could happen. And again, like you said, I don't know. I've never heard, or nobody's ever from the conference office come up and told me who voted for who.
Right.
And so you may never know that, but I think that's a definite possibility that could happen. It's a good problem to have that you have two players of that caliber, and you could never put it out there. Hey, we want you to vote for this one for Player of the Year and not the other one. I mean, you just can't do that. You have to kind of let those chips fall where they may. And in this case, it worked out for Kaiser, but you have two first team all conference players. And you've got a second teamer in Jalen Gregory, who is a terrific lockdown defender, and also she has found the 3-point shot again, and that's always a good thing when that happens for her.
Absolutely, especially going into postseason play. The second seeded Lady Raiders will take on the winner of Kennesaw and UTEP. That game is ongoing as we speak. Yeah,
it is. There's already been one game completed today, and Sam Houston knocked out Jacksonville State on the women's side, and Sam Houston now will play Liberty on at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. So I don't have the Kennesaw UTEP score in front of me, but that game ought to be getting pretty close to being. I would just guess there's about 6 minutes to go.
6 minutes to go. Let's see. Let's see what Chip's got here. Let's see if we can pull
if they started on time. That's my out right there.
All start times are approximated, right?
That's right. So,
Chip, real quick, while we're looking that up, walk me through, is this common at other, mid-major conferences where the first team or the all-conference teams are much larger for the ladies as opposed to kind of just the 5 that you got for the men? Kind of walk me through that process.
That is just simply how each set of coaches votes to do it. You know, that's like, District 7 as opposed to District 8. How do they, how do they go about their all conference or all district teams? That's like right now, I don't think there's a defensive player of the year on the men's side. But like football has a defensive player, an offensive player, and an MVP and all that kind of stuff. So So it's totally up to how the group of coaches decides they want to have the awards come out in the postseason.
It makes sense. And just this is a personal pet peeve of mine. I hate conferences that if you win a superlative, you're suddenly not on the first team all conference. NAI, we ran into that a lot. And I'm like, no, man, if you were the player of the year in the conference, you still got to be on the first team. I understand you want to get some other people in there, but you got to give them the props too, I feel like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Pet peeve of mine.
That, and I don't, and I think with 10 teams, a first team, a second team, and a group of honorable mentions, how the men do it. That's, I think everybody who was recognized was worthy of their recognition all across the board. And when I looked and thought who did not get rewarded, nothing really jumped out at me to say there was, and I know journalists love to use the word snub, but I didn't see that either. So I'm okay with it. And Ray Harper earned, when the voting went in, they were still on top because they basically lost the lead in the last week and a half of the regular season. And for the most part, they held a 2-game lead on the men's side for most of the year. And he had it was the best player on the best team for most of the year, Jaron Pierre. So I don't have any issues with how all that fell this year.
So you weren't motivated to fire off any releases a la Shea Ralph at Vanderbilt after Camille Pierre was left off the All-SEC teams last
No,
week?
I did not use the extra effort on my keyboard for that. No.
Kennesaw State leads UTEP 41-39 with 7.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Oh, wow. They got started late then.
Yeah.
So
you were close.
So I was a quarter off. But well, and if we can change gears a little bit, speaking of great performances, on the Hill of Thrills at Reese Smith Field on Sunday afternoon, we saw something we had not seen in 27 years, and that was a 9-inning complete game, no-hit game from Siegel High alum Drew Horn, who struck out 13, 6 of which were backwards Ks.
Ooh, okay.
And as of today, not only was he the Conference USA Pitcher of the Week, he has also been named National Pitcher of the Week by the College Baseball Hall of Fame, the College Baseball Writers Association, and also most recently the State Player of the Week by the Tennessee Sports Writers Association as well. He becomes the first National Pitcher of the Week.
Stop.
Since,
Because I have to say this because he's a friend of the show and a personal friend. The first since DeJuan Brazelton in 2001.
And guess who was at the ballpark this weekend?
DeJuan Brazelton.
There you go.
Hello.
He came up from Tampa. He was up from Tampa this weekend. And I cannot confirm if he was there on Sunday, but I saw him. I had him on the radio Friday, and I know he was back there on Saturday, and he also caught the basketball game on Saturday. But I think he was there on Sunday as well. I hope he was.
I do too.
To be able to see that, it was a master. There were 2 great defensive plays along the way that helped this happen. One, it was about in the 4th inning. Pretty sharply hit ground ball to first that ricocheted off the ankle of the first baseman, but right to the second baseman. Horn covered first, and they got the out. And
3-4-1 on the putout, huh?
Yes. And then on the final play of the game, it was a soft liner to straightaway center field, and Eston Snyder had to come lay completely out, made a diving catch for out number 27. And it was dramatic. And Dick Palmer made a great call of that on the radio, and he and John Callow, but it was one of those things that you'll kind of remember. I was there that day when he did that, and it was pretty special.
That's pretty cool. Drew Horn, former Siegel standout, played for another former Blue Raider in Craig Revis over there. So
and who just had a birthday. Yeah, played for Craig Revis, and so there was a lot of connections there, and also the Blue Raiders ended up sweeping the weekend series, and they've got 2 home games midweek. Got Tennessee Tech tonight and Belmont tomorrow, 6:00 first pitch. They got great weather for both of those, it looks like, and then UAB for a 3-game series at home this weekend.
There we go. Let's drop back to women's basketball for just a second, because MTSU will catch the Kennesaw UTEP winner tomorrow at 2:00. They will then be off on Thursday.
They would play again Friday at 8 p.m.
Right, against
the winner of Western and FIU
winner. Should they win that quarterfinal game, obviously.
Correct.
So okay. All right. Chip, what else do we need to know?
That's kind of it right now. You've got spring ball will get started next week. I've got a podcast with about 30 minutes of Q&A with Derek Mason that will drop on GoBlueRaiders.com and on the socials on Sunday morning. So that will be an update. We touched on everything from recruiting to the changes in spring ball, not only at Middle but across the country, and the demise of spring games, and where does he see this going, and also just about a lot of it was about the incoming players and how Middle is a much larger football team across the board after this recruiting class than what they were before.
Now, when you say larger, do you mean numbers or do you mean?
I mean in size, in physical size.
Okay.
They're taller, they're bigger. I mean, if you go back, and we talked about this back, they're even with the high school, as Derek calls it, the draft back in December. He calls it the draft and then free agency, which is but he talks. I mean, you think about the linemen, the offensive linemen that they have signed. I think they've really done a pretty nice job of getting some size to give Nick Vattiato. Their number one goal is to keep him upright, and also to have a good run game to assist him in having a little more time, and one of the big things now is you lost a lot of production from wide receiver. Have you brought enough in to replace Omari Kelly and Holden Willis, 2 of the better receivers you could have as a couplet in years? So he's excited, and as every coach is, as they get ready for spring ball. So there will be it will not be a game. It will be called a spring showcase. And I think that's April 12th, if I'm not mistaken, which is a Saturday. And all I know is I was asked, can I be there to MC it? So I will be in touch with Caitlin Manning before long, the chief of staff, to get my marching orders on that.
Real quick before we let you go, Chip, want to mention Jenna Want was named Conference USA Softball Freshman of the Week earlier.
Second time.
I guess yesterday. Second time. She previously earned that honor to open the season back on February 10th. She becomes the second Lady Raider to be so honored in as many weeks, following Layla Ammon last week. And Middle has been pretty prominent on these weekly awards for Conference USA, as Ansley Blevins was named Player of the Week last week as well. Also, some local flavor across the board here, because Elena Escobar from Liberty, who played her final 2 seasons at Summit, is their reigning pitcher of the week. Earlier this year, Spring Hill graduate Kat Carter won that award for Jack State, and Rylan Smith from Nolensville won that award for Western Kentucky. So, again, Mid-State Soccer and Middle Tennessee State's Mid-State softball and Middle Tennessee State softball showing up pretty big across the board for Conference USA.
That's right. And conference weekend started. They split down at FIU, and they're back at it. I think they've got 3 at home this week. It's the spring gauntlet is upon us.
Want hit 615 on the week, 7 hits with a pair of doubles, a homer, and 3 walks in the FIU series.
And if I'm correct, Ansley Blevins had another multi-home run game.
You'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chip, be safe between here and home.
I don't know if we've talked about it. Have you all mentioned that Chris Massaro has been selected to the college football playoff selection committee?
We have mentioned that. Is he going to be?
He would be a good guest to talk about that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to kind of let things calm down a little bit. There's a lot going on at MTSU right now, but yeah, we certainly want to try to get him on.
Good summertime show.
Well, we hopefully do it before then. But was it you that we were talking to about that? We talked to somebody who just spoke to how analytical he is and how perfect he's going to be for that spot. I feel like that was me.
I think that his skill set, I think, really fits what they're looking for. He's been on other committees. He's on the women. I think he's been on some other committees like that as well. And being a former lineman at Northern Colorado, this is one of those that as a college AD, it's a great opportunity for him.
Chip, we saw it a couple years ago, though. But what happens if Liberty runs the table again? Are they going to get that group of? Are they going to get a nod from us all for the Group of 5 bid?
I don't know. I would say he would play it straight down the middle, and I don't know if it's like basketball.
Would he have to recuse himself at that point?
That's what I was going to ask. I'm not sure if it's like the basketball committee where you have to leave if somebody from when somebody from your conference is being considered. Which Lee Fowler used to tell me some good stories about that, of when people, somebody come up, every time a name would come up, somebody'd have to jump up and leave the room. And
more people out of the room than in the room.
Yeah, that's right. So interesting.
Chip, be safe. Bring back a couple of wins or a few wins. How's that?
It'd be nice. It'd be nice to go 6-0 this week, but we shall see. It will not be easy on either side of it. But Middle has sold out its allotment of tournament booklets for the second year in a row, but you can still purchase individual session tickets on Ticketmaster. So just look up Von Braun Civic Center, and there they shall be, and you can sit with the Middle delegation if you are or whichever school you happen to follow. You are able to sit with that group once you get inside the building.
You can sit with the Middle delegation once you get inside the building.
Sounds so formal. I like that.
Chip, we appreciate it.
See you guys.
Thank you, Chip.
All right.
Bye.
Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will jump into the grab bag, see what we can grab out of there. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is Wade Neely. And we're jumping into the grab bag, but we're going to drop back. And sometimes timing is everything. We just had Mike Herndon on talking about Titans and what they had going on over this offseason. I just received a text from Robertson County Connection sports coordinator David Wilson that says the Titans are getting rid of Stonehouse? ? That has to be a joke. No, David, apparently that is not a joke. The Titans apparently are not tendering restricted free agent punter Ryan Stonehouse.
That one hurts, and we flew a little too close to the sun with the special teams talk there, man.
I guess
that's a stunner.
That does not make sense. He becomes I'm reading from NFLTradeRumors.com. Stonehouse will now become an unrestricted free agent after passing up a tender that would cost at least $3.263 million. I don't know what he was making. I don't know what he expected to make. Coming off a knee injury last year, he appeared in all 17 games, averaged 50.6 yards per punt with 7 touchbacks. And, I mean, he is as much of a weapon as anybody on that roster. So this is odd. It's wild and wacky. That's tomorrow, though. But
odd move, and presumably not commanding a massive contract. It's not as if now all of a sudden you have this massive pool of money to potentially go out and grab somebody else. And Stonehouse, there is a new kind of regime change, general manager and second year head coaching staff. This just feels kind of like a stunner because it's a record breaking punter we're talking about here, which. We're talking punters, but I mean, if we're going to talk punters on this show, we might as well talk about the best, and he has been the best.
Yeah, without question. I mean, I don't think you could have asked for anyone better to come in here and succeed Brett Kern than Stonehouse has and did. So I don't know. They were 3-14 last year. He was plenty busy. I mean, maybe they're expecting to not have to use the punter as much this time around. I don't know, but I'm just that, like you said, that's a stunner. Did not see that coming. So, I'm sure we will talk more about this as the week progresses. Getting into the grab bag though, as we had intended to do when we went to break, the Yankees. Already without Giancarlo Stanton because of elbows situations times 2 is now set. They are now set to be without Garrett Cole, who is going to be undergoing Tommy John surgery. In fact, was set to undergo Tommy John surgery today. and one of the best pitchers in baseball sidelined for the year as they try to repeat as American League champions this year. This is a heck of a blow, obviously.
Yeah, and obviously you would have you never want to get injury news, but you certainly would have liked to have gotten it a little earlier in the offseason to try and either make it run at somebody else or kind of get some ducks in a row for some trade options because, this one does sting if you're the Yankees. And obviously if you're just a baseball fan, he's fun to watch, bearded or otherwise. And so that really kind of stinks. And like you said at the very beginning of this show, I mean, the Mets and the Yankees both it's like they're dueling with each other in terms of who can have the most bad press or tough luck coming into this season.
Without question. I mean, they've still got a pretty solid bunch of potential starters, including former Atlanta Brave Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman is still under contract. Veteran Carlos Carrasco is with the team. Clark Schmidt, reigning Rookie of the Year, Luis Hill, who is dealing with a lat strain, but he's around. So I mean, they still got some options, but I mean, that's just in terms of a body. Cole won the Cy Young Award in 2023, and is thought to be, a Hall of Fame candidate once he shuts it down. But there will be no 2025 entry in that resume for him. So that's, I'm the farthest thing from a Yankees fan, but you hate to see anybody get hurt, particularly one of the game's better players.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, he's fun to watch, even if you're a casual fan. And if you're a fantasy baseballer, now all of a sudden you're maybe scratching your head and you're going to have to dig a little further down into your repertoire there because, we kind of poked a lot of fun at his efforts in the World Series last year. But, man, during the regular season and at times in the postseason, that guy is still as good as it gets when he cranks it up to 100. And as far as we've come with that injury, you feel somewhat confident, but anytime you lose a full season, man, it is always a dicey proposition if you can get back to that level you were at previously.
No doubt. I have a lot to give, and I'm fully committed to the work ahead. I'll attack my rehab every day and support the 2025 Yankees each step of the way. I love this game. I love competing, and I can't wait to be back on the mound stronger than ever. So, wish Garrett Cole luck. Meanwhile, across town, Francisco Alvarez, the Mets starting catcher, is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured left hand that will require surgery. Sustained the injury during live batting practice on Saturday. He got hit in BP. Man. Second straight year Alvarez has had an injury to his left hand. Tore a ligament in his left thumb last April and missed a couple of months. So they've got a cast at catcher of Luis Torrens, Hayden Singer, Jackson Reitz, and Chris Williams, which sounds like a bunch of owls. Who?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Again, you hate to see folks get hurt. Now, I will throw a codicil onto that as a Braves fan. If it's an NL East team, that goes out the window. No, I don't. You still don't want to see anybody get hurt. You still want to see everybody be at full strength so that when the Braves beat them, they got no excuse. So,
anyway. Profar sounds like he should be back by opening day now for the Braves, right?
Oh, yeah. I think x-rays were negative on that wrist. It looked like he jammed that wrist diving for a ball in the outfield. But yeah, we all kind of collectively held our breaths on that one, but it seems like everything is okay with Profar. Oh, thank goodness. Talk about Indian burial grounds. Wade, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but from time to time, Major League Baseball tries to get cute with its gear. And Major League Baseball and New Era rolled out some new caps, their Overlap series, which features the team name behind the team logo. And we've got pictures of that, Mark, if you can grab that. But the result for the Rangers was a bit unfortunate because you've got that big block T over top of Texas, and in doing so, you spell a crude reference to the female anatomy. Those caps have been pulled off the shelves.
Feel bad for the marketing person because they're better get the LinkedIn ready because it's that's a tough one to come back from. That is such an egregious error, and you wonder how many people had to sign off on that. How many times I got overlooked for it? Yeah.
It's not good, and that was, that was kind of the reaction in a lot of places. It's like, how did this get through? How many eyes did this get through? This is tough, especially in Texas again, where Spanish is such a dominant language. I would think. I mean, you'd like to think somebody would have caught this before it actually got to the shelves.
Yeah, that's something you're thinking you're double, triple, quadruple checking. And I'm glad I'm not in those rooms and dealing with that today. I will admit, though, my favorite, this reminds me of last year when the Oakland A's, they had theirs. And depending on how you look at it, the A's, you got the ASS, so why not throw one more S on there? And they got the ass hat, as people like to refer to it last year. I'm now going to eBay to see if I can find one of these. I got to rock me one out in public at some point.
Well, Wade, your team, your favorite team, the Houston Astros, in this overlap cap, they become the Ace Hose. We'll pronounce it like that. So
I've been accused, so I could probably rock that as well. It's just too much. I don't really like any of these, if I'm being honest.
There's not a lot to like, really, when it comes right down to it. I don't think they're very attractive, but when they're vulgar and insulting on top of unattractive, I mean, that's just not a good place to be, I don't think. So, like you said, brush off the LinkedIn, the resumes, because some professional heads are going to roll on this. We mentioned late last week that Blades Brown was in action at the Puerto Rico Open on Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, that was as far as it went for Blades, so he didn't get to continue brushing up on his Spanish in Puerto Rico as he did at the Mexico Open. I've not seen results, but he did miss the cut.
Yeah, and we were right up against it. We were kind of rooting him on for the final hole or two coming down the stretch, and he was within one shot, two shots of making the cut. Would have been nice. I mean, we're talking about a kid, obviously a phenom, still so young, though. They're just getting professional reps. Yeah, the paycheck would be kind of nice, and yeah, you give yourself a shot to win, but just accumulating rounds at a professional level, even though it was the smaller field, well, technically it was the larger field, but the smaller tier, if you will, of golfers at the Puerto Rico Open. Keep stacking some good rounds. It feels like he's off to a great start. The fact that we're talking about him making cuts at this point is in my mind, kind of really impressive.
Sure. And I mean, he's 17, man.
Right.
Goodness gracious. I mean, I can't imagine. Literally, I cannot imagine. So we will be looking out for him in his next start, and we'll try to keep you posted as best we can. Let's take a break here on Top 5 Tuesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, it'll be the final segment. Wade and I will give you our top 5 things we like about spring. Stick around.
in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. You suck! It's all your fault! Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
It is the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, which means it's time for Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I give you our top 5 of a particular topic. This week, it's what we like or love about spring. Wade, let's kick it off.
All right, let's go to this list here. It's going to be fun. And, you know, we're just counting down the minutes. The second this show ends, I'm sprinting outdoors and just going to run around. A couple of big items on my list. But first, this is always fun. It's just hiking / camping. You can kind of throw one in the same. Fall camps are great. But, man, it's tough to beat in the spring when it's not too hot. It's not too cold. But you find that nice blend, being able to get outdoors for a hike or post up at a campsite. Love it.
I think my favorite thing is baseball. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I always have been. And when spring comes, baseball is obviously right around the corner, either being at a game or watching a game on TV. You know, for a long time coaching a game, sometimes I'll be umpiring a game. So a lot of baseball going on, and it pretty much starts up right about now. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're a month into the college season at this point, so buckle up, folks. But I'm with you.
But now it'll be warmer though, so
that's a good point. I'm with you. Child of baseball, parents. I grew up at the Little League Park with mom and dad working there all the time, so I kind of get the feels and the tingles for a ballpark around this
Absolutely.
time. You are exactly right. Up next, mowing the lawn is on the list for me, and I'm not a big chores guy. I don't like doing necessarily chores. But, man, something just about being on the mower, and this was kind of even before headphones, but now that you got the Bluetooth too, give me a big yard and let's just go to work, man. My parents have a fancy zero turn, which I don't get to drive very often. They don't trust me that much. But when I get on that, that's good. And then we got a nice solid push mower here in Nashville. So between the two, I kind of get my fix. It's kind of more meditative than anything. And you get a little kudos from your loved ones for doing it.
You know, growing up, I mowed about 6 yards, and I had some headphones and could pick up radio stations and that kind of thing with it. And that was a cool, you know, it was a cool way to make some side money when you're a youngster. So yeah, mowing yards, that kind of takes me back. It's not on my list. What is on my list though, speaking of music, is driving with the windows down, because again, when I was younger, I wasn't blessed to have cars that had air conditioning, so it was windows down and music cranked up, and I still like to do it, and you can't in December, or not as comfortably anyway. So.
And that was literally my next pick, because there ain't nothing better than that first day when you're cruising, whether it's, you know, in town or on the interstate. Just crank up the tunes and pop them babies down, and yeah, you just feel you're liberated. You're floating at that point, Mo.
For me, again, because of the cars that I drove at a young age, it just kind of makes me feel younger, and I can certainly use all the help I can get.
I'm with you. That is a good pull there. Up next on my list, patio season is officially back. I'm one of these guys, if the weather is nice, I don't mind being on a patio, but I hate when everybody's like, oh, well, let's be on the patio. They have space heaters. It's never the same. It's miserable. You don't want to be out there. And everybody is, you know, kind of huddled around getting the last little bit of heat that's available. But now we officially kick off the real patio season. Throw some sports on the TV at the restaurant that you're at. And just kick back. Patio season is right up there.
The fire pit is not the same.
No, I mean, And it feels forced. Everybody's like, oh, let's sit outside. It's great. And then you get 10 minutes into your meal and everybody's teeth are chattering. That ain't no fun.
Yeah, exactly. My number 3, and I actually did it Sunday. I've got to replace some gas, but grilling.
Yep.
Getting out on the grill. Throw something on the grill. Yeah, again, you can do it in December, but it's a heck of a lot less comfortable than it is right about now. So, yeah, getting on the grill. Count me in.
You can't tend to the meat or the vegetables quite the same when you got to run in and run out every 5 seconds because you're freezing.
Exactly. Yep. So that's my number 3.
I'm with you there. This is a slight spinoff of baseball, but sports in general. We are in the midst of what I would argue is October is kind of the king, the GOAT, if you will, in terms of months. But March/April is as good as it gets. You got March Madness. You got the Masters. You got Major League Baseball cranking up. And just when you kind of think all that's done, then the NHL and NBA playoffs start cranking up. Beautiful time of the year for sports in the spring.
I won't do it immediately, but here in the next month or so, probably, it's short season. And I get to get out of my jeans and my khakis and into something a little bit more comfortable again. So shorts, all about them. Sign me up.
That's Skies out, eyes out, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Your number 5, Mr.
Number 5. This is a favorite. This is an age-old pastime of mine in the spring. But I love talking about doing all these things outdoors and then not doing any of them and sitting and watching sports. That's one of my age-old pastimes as well. So that's got to be number 5 for me. We ain't going camping this weekend. We got March Madness to watch. You kidding me? No. We'll do that the next weekend, and then boom, it's summer. So that's an age-old pastime of mine.
This may or may not be a steal. Maybe, I hope it's not, but just I tend to travel more when it's warmer, just because I think, again, it's more comfortable. So travel season for Mo coming up real soon. That's my number 5. And that is our top 5 things that we love about spring. And looking forward to getting into all of it. In fact, when we sign off, I'm headed to a baseball game on a professional level. So look for me at Pickle Field here in a couple of hours for Columbia Central and Creekwood. That's going to do it for the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and catch us tomorrow at 2 o'clock as we will be coming to you live from the Glass House, Murphy Center, site of the TSSAA Girls High School State Basketball Tournaments for Division I. We are looking forward to bringing that show to y'all as we will be there the next 3 days. Check us out. If you're there, come holler. 2 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see y'all then.